Good afternoon, everybody. It is Tuesday. It is 1 o'clock. Please let us know if you can see and hear us okay. I literally had 5 minutes of mayhem before I jumped on live. I'm going to say this to you a second ago, Matt, is because I haven't done a live in like a month. I was like fanning around doing stuff. And I realized I didn't have the internet connected that I need to. I didn't have the microphone. I couldn't find the mouse. I was doing this. And then I just sort of like came on. I was like, oh, yeah. And chill. Here we are. So I'm glad. Someone please let us know if you can see and hear us, because I think
that's a few people on. Yeah, we're definitely live.
Definitely haven't forgotten how to do the live, so which is good. But I have forgot to connect it via my phone. So there we go. I knew I was going to do something. So I'm just going to jump into the comments. So Hayden's here. Hayden's here for the moment. He's off on holiday in a couple of weeks. And I feel that's a really good sign for, you're just seeing loads of people going away at the moment. But we'll come on.
I forgot. I've not told you yet because I've not seen you. I'm away week after next.
Oh, are you?
So you're gonna have to ride solo. Yeah, because it was like you were away, and then I was like, it's ages away, but it's been over like nearly a month, hasn't it? And I'm going away 2 weeks, so it's like, because at the point I was like, it's ages away. Didn't even think about it. It wasn't even a thought across my mind, and now I realize it's next week. Next Saturday.
Well, this guys, you're literally witnessing the ECOM Inner Circle reunion of catching up on things and blocking out holiday dates. Yeah, no, don't worry, we'll sort it out. Everyone's like, welcome back, Phil. David, hello, stranger. Do you know what was really funny is whilst we were out there, because there's a time difference, and it takes you a few days to acclimatize over there. It takes you time to travel there and everything like that. For us, we were away for like 2 weeks, but everyone kept messaging, when are you back? My friends were like, you've been away forever. People were saying, you feel like you've been away forever. And I don't know, it just must have, for us, it was like 2 weeks, but for everyone else, it felt like forever.
2 years.
I don't know. But then we were living our best life. So it went a lot quicker for us, presumably. Right. Simon's joined us. Phil says, welcome back. David, hello, stranger. Hayden's off tomorrow. Safe travels for tomorrow, Hayden. And I was just saying to Matt, actually, it's one of those things that because nobody's had a holiday for such a long period of time.
Yeah, proper holiday.
Yeah, and people are really now starting to get back into having the holidays. We haven't been away for 3 years. That's how long we've not been.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I think for me, to have a proper holiday, I have to go on a plane. Does that sound weird? Like, I know you can get a break in the UK, and there's some good holidays in the UK, but I always kind of felt like it wasn't a proper holiday. It was just like a break. Even if it was like a week or 2 weeks, it didn't feel like a holiday.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean, and you're absolutely right, because it wasn't until I physically left the country I realized how much of a holiday that I needed. It was just, a long time, and I know I'm talking about first world problems and
literally.
Like that. I know that. I appreciate that, but it's one of those things that you don't know how much of a break you need until you break yourself away, and that's exactly what happened, because we did have a little holiday last year in the UK, but I was still answering messages and I was still doing this. Yeah, and I want to say thank you to everyone as well, because there were a couple of people that like tagged me on posts while I was away, and then some other people said, leave her alone, she's on holiday, that type of thing. So I really do appreciate everyone that kind of gave us the opportunity to have a break. My inbox has been destroyed over the last 48 hours now, so I appreciate everything, how much you guys gave us the opportunity to really take your mind away from everything. It really does help. Hayden said it. That must be Hayden. It was so hard not to message you, and I do appreciate that. But obviously, of course, if there's ever an emergency, I'm never not going to answer people, of course, but for sure. Donna, I've just seen Donna, actually. She was posting some pictures. She's away. Looks like on the Costa del Sol. Yeah, very nice. And this is what I mean. We're seeing lots of people going away. Enjoy, Donna. Thank you for tuning in whilst you're away. It's much appreciated. Chris said he'd be happy just going to the airport. Well, I don't know at the moment with all the chaos that's going on at the airport. But I must admit, I've got to tell this little story quickly before we crack on. We actually had like a really bad start to the holiday. And I was thinking, oh, my God, how is this? Is this going to be the sign of things to come? Because we've been watching these horror stories about massive long queues, people's esters being rejected, test results not showing up where they were supposed to. And we stayed at the Hilton the night before at the airport. And we got woke up at 3:00 in the morning by a fire alarm that just would not stop. And it's funny when you're in that situation because you think you're exempt from the fire alarm, even though it's going off at 3:00 in the morning. We were literally in the room and we were like, should we go downstairs? What should we do? Kind of thing. And we did. We had to evacuate the hotel and we had to leave. It was, I think they said it wasn't a fire, but there was smoke in the kitchen or something like that. But it sort of interrupts your night's sleep before you get on a plane, which it's going to be a long traveling day with 2 kids, all this type of thing. Then thinking, oh my God, are we going to get stopped at the airport? We're going to do this. We're going to do that. But I must admit, after that, from that point on, I've never seen or I've never been involved in a holiday which was just smooth sailing. Like the whole way, there was no queues at the airport. Everything was 20 minutes. It was, it was just, everything was smooth sailing after that. And then we literally did have 2.5 weeks of, and we'd seen all these problems with Disney World beforehand about how packed it was and the bad service. And we just didn't experience any of that. And, so I must admit, it was one of those things that, if you are concerned about going away and you're worried about, everything that's been going on or is going on, I would say just go for it, because all of the things that I watched before I went away actually made me really not want to go away.
Yeah.
And if the holiday hadn't have been booked, I wouldn't have booked a holiday now. But it was fine. It was absolutely fine when we went.
So, with this whole airport chaos, we went to Dublin. I think it was the start of March. We paid for fast track security, and the fast track was closed because there was no queue. And I mean, there was no queue. We were 3 minutes in security. So it's just, obviously there is queues, but that doesn't mean there's always queues every day when you're going to be there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, that's the thing. I everything on social media is exaggerated, in a lot of cases. The news exaggerates things, that type of thing. So I would just go for it. And, what I said beforehand, it was a well-earned break. We needed the break. We needed to get away. And for mindset, for, wanting to smash the rest of the year, this year kind of started a little bit like, oh, wow, there's a whole year to another go. But it, having that holiday, having that break, having that refresh of mind really, really helped me, refocus what I want, what I need to do, what the challenges are, what I need to address, what I need to get rid of, all of these different, what I need to put in place, all of these different things, which I haven't had that clarity of mind probably for a couple of years now. So Mickey Mouse really sorted me out.
Really helped.
Absolutely. And what was interesting as well, and again, this may just be Disney World specific, but maybe Donna can answer it because she's abroad right now. Being away, and especially a place where Disney World, which is very fantastical and whimsical, all these different types of things. After what's gone on the last few years, what's gone on in the world at the moment, being in a place like that, even if it is a bubble, which it is, again, really helps with state of mind. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's all. In fact, it's almost better, isn't it? Because you're removing yourself from all the negativity of life and you're putting yourself in this bubble, which is exactly what you want, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And this was interesting. And this is what I wanted to come on and talk about. I want to talk about what I posted about an hour ago anyway as well, because I think that's a massive opportunity. I know you'll be massively excited by that, Matthew, and I know a lot of people watching will as well. But what was interesting while I was out there, and I posted a couple of times while I was out there, because people genuinely, a few people messaged me that are interested in the economy and what's kind of going on at the moment. They sort of said, what's it like over in America at the moment in the economy? And you know, I quite like watching American news while I'm over there because they're nuts, and they just, you know, they they just like bang on about. They just do news in a much funner way than we do it here, especially like the local news in Orlando and Florida and things like that. So I quite like watching that while I'm away. And what was really interesting being in that environment, listening to what people were saying, was they're definitely not as an advanced position as us in going into potential recession as we are, and that's quite evident, evident with the state of the pound versus the dollar. Yes, there are people aware that there is, the bubble's going to burst or there is a recession coming, but people genuinely don't seem as concerned as they are in the UK. And judging by the evidence of what was going on in the place where I was and how the money was flowing and how it was being spent, that either people are not concerned about it or they think it's coming, so I'm going to live my best life right now. I don't know. I didn't personally interview people and stop them and ask them. We spoke to locals. A lot of people didn't seem concerned about it.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't seem concerned about the housing market like back in 2008, which that's where the crash started through all the bad debt in the US. They didn't seem concerned about that. It's definitely a seller's market, property over there. There's no properties. They said in Central Florida or Orlando, I can't remember, apologies. But they said there's something ridiculous like 10,000 properties on the market, which is a tenth of what is usually available on the market. So that's why house prices, are inflated at the moment, of course. But it's one of things, it was really interesting to see people spending money in what would be considered the most expensive part to spend your money on an American, vacation.
Yeah. I was going to say, do a lot of Americans go to Disney World because a lot of them don't travel, do they? Or is that just a very stereotypical view?
No, it's not. We spoke to a lot of people. We've spoken to people in the past that have never left the States.
Yeah.
But it's not as narrow-minded as people think, because you can go from skiing in the mountains.
I was going to say, you don't need to go, do you? Because you say you've got skiing and Florida, and you've got kind of every kind of environment within the US.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's one of those things that, and I didn't want anyone to think the things that I posted was me sort of sticking my head in the sand saying there's nothing coming, there's no recession coming. I do not believe that at all. But I do believe, and this general is the consensus for the people that I spoke abroad and the evidence of what I saw with my own eyes, maybe it's not going to be as bad as people think. But I have to look on the positive in that respect, because it forces me to concentrate on, and this is what I would advise anyone to do who sat here watching this right now, anyone that's in charge of their own destiny. Just think of all the people out there that are in a fixed, price job, a fixed price earnings. They can't earn the extra. We can. I can focus on creating new opportunities, doing this, doing that, whereas the average person can't do that. And that's the thing I prefer to focus on, as opposed to the doom and gloom. It doesn't mean I don't think something's coming. Absolutely, I do. There's no doubt about it. But I don't want to focus on that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know if there's going to be. I've been doing a lot of research on this, and I don't know if it's going to. It's a different set of circumstances to the last recession, isn't it? People are likening it to 2008, but it's not. This was a health crisis, not an economic crisis.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that the outcomes are going to be the same. And also, a lot of what's happening with the UK economy, partly due to Brexit, partly due to external factors, is something that can fix itself quite quickly. If the war in Ukraine stopped and we started buying oil from Russia again and gas, then the price is going to come back down. So they're quite quick. These can be quite quickly fixed problems.
Yeah, I agree. And it could be one of those things. I spoke to my brother. He's quite high up in a US bank, and he he's still unsure. You know, he said it'll either be long and drawn out because of these issues not resolving themselves, or he said it could, you know, be a really quick bounce back. But, you know, the main message that I certainly want to give across in this group, you know, is we're not sticking our head in the sand, but we're concentrating on what we can be in control of. None of us can control any of what's going on in the world. We're only in control of our own destiny. And that's the message that I want to promote. And that's the message that I want to get across to people, is concentrate on yourself. Yeah, there's bad shit going on in the world at the moment. Absolutely. But in order to navigate it and get through it, you know, you have to concentrate on what you are in control of. It's as simple as that. But yeah, everyone, Amazon are in control. Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they are spending money like water over at Disney World, but it's very easy to get, like I said, Disney is they're very good at taking your money. There's no doubt about it. They're like, wow, you know, you go into a bakery or you go into a shop there and you're like, wow, there's a cupcake with Mickey ears on. Yeah, here's $20. I'll happy, you know, I'll pay for that. No doubt about it. So and they don't allow anything other than Disney produced stuff in there. So, you know, they don't allow you to take stuff in. You can take a packed lunch in if you want to, you know, they're not that cruel. But you know, they're a bit like Amazon. They control their world. And if you want to come into their world, you play their game. It's as simple as that. They're very similar to Amazon in that respect. But yeah, if you want to go to Disney at the moment, just be aware you will pay Disney prices and you will pay through the Disney nose, definitely. Let's have a quick look at comments, then we'll come on and talk about that. Thank you, Caitlin. Glad to be back. And that's really interesting, actually. Everyone's like, and I alluded this in a post the other day, was that when normal people, not normal people, but when people who are in normal jobs come back off a holiday, they dread that first day back. They're like, oh my God, you know, we came back. It was lovely, actually. We came back to beautiful weather. Came back to a multitude of things, amazing things. We had birthday parties over the weekend. We had loads of fun stuff to do over the weekend when we came back. So that was good to come back to that. And people were saying to me, oh, I bet you're dreading Monday. And I was like, no, can't wait.
I don't get that. I've never had that. Yeah, I do the same. Like sometimes, you know, my wife is very much like, she gets to the middle of the holiday and she gets all miserable. I'm like, why are you miserable? She's like, because we're going home soon. I'm like, you know, and I can't wait to go back and get back to it. You know, I enjoy a break, but I also enjoy getting back to work.
Yeah, absolutely. I was so buzzing about Monday. Like Sunday night, I was like, started answering messages, started looking at spreadsheets, started looking at a few things. And I was sort of like, yes, I am totally up for this. And, you know, really can't wait to get back into the fold of things. And I even had a message from someone on Monday, a friend of mine, not through groups or anything like that, but a friend that I know, and, you know, part of like a group chat. And she was like, oh, I just can't stand Mondays. I'm like, Monday's my favorite day of the week.
Yeah.
And then they kicked me out. They kicked me out of the group. I'm back in town. I know. Thank you. And I've been talking forever. So let's you can tell normal services review. You've probably like had a sore throat the last couple of weeks where you've done all the talking.
I've had to do all the talking. I know, it's mad.
Right. Rimmer says, little story from Monday. Wife's family with 4 kids, 1 year and 4, got refused boarding Ryanair because they were overbooked. I've heard about this a lot, actually. They mixed up multiple planes. Loads of people got stranded yesterday. Luton said your luggage is in Lithuania, but after calling the airport, there was no luggage. They had tickets, but they didn't even load the luggage. Means they haven't been in the system. Big mess in Luton. They had to buy new tickets in the evening. Well, hopefully they got it sorted. But yeah, I've been hearing some stories like absolute mess and things. I didn't experience any of it. Whether or not I heard, one of the reasons why is it was more important for the airlines to keep the longer haul flights flowing as opposed to the shorter haul. I honestly, if anyone knows the reason why, like if they're going to cancel flights, they cancel short haul flights. They don't cancel long haul flights, and I don't know the reason why.
Is it to do with schedules and chartered flights? Because I know a lot of long haul flights are scheduled, whereas a lot of the short haul flights are chartered. So I think there's different rules around scheduled and chartered flights. Maybe that's what's to do with the long haul ones.
Possibly, yeah. Like I said, I wouldn't like to say because I don't know what the reason are, but yeah, absolutely. Karen said due to go away in a few weeks, but if only all of our passports come back stuck in the bag. Well, you might have to take a trip to, where do they do it? Is it
Liverpool?
London?
Liverpool's a passport office.
Oh, is it?
There is one. I don't know if there's another one, but ours is Liverpool, nearest one to us. I imagine there's probably one in London.
Yeah, I think it's probably London for us Southerners. Don't go north of the London line. Johnny says, afternoon, both. Welcome back. Big shout out to Hayden and Johnny, by the way. Thank you so much for filling in whilst I was away. That was much, much appreciated. Rosie says, so happy you're back. Really missed you. Not allowed to leave us again. Well, I'll do some lives from wherever I go. So let's crack on. So yeah, really interesting. Came out of the blue from nowhere. Dropped in my inbox this morning. We predominantly sell our own products, and been invited onto UK pilot program. And I was talking to Andy earlier on the chat actually, and I can't remember it being offered in the UK before. Andy said that this has been offered in the US.
It did. So it did. It has existed. It did exist many years ago. I think sort of 2016, 2017, they used to have an option where you could pay £1 and have non-branded packaging from multi-channel film orders. Then they removed it, but there was a lot of people complained about it because obviously they use FBA for their wider business. So.
Right. So let's just fill people in. If you haven't seen the post already, and I'm fully aware that some people still might not even know what multi-channel fulfillment is, because why would you if you've never used it? So Matt, I don't know if you want to quickly run over what it is, what this pilot program is about, and how it could potentially help people, diversify their businesses onto different sales platforms.
Yeah. So multi-channel fulfillment is essentially where, obviously, when you sell something on Amazon, it goes through the FBA program and you get charged a set amount of fees. You send it to FBA and then Amazon sends it to the customer. So multi-channel fulfillment is you can use that inventory pool that you've already got in Amazon to have these orders sent to other customers. So they could be customers you have on eBay, your own website, Facebook, Etsy, anywhere. So all you do is you upload the address to Amazon and then they will send that order to the customer. Now, the fees are more expensive than FBA, but they are roughly comparable to sort of any kind of third-party fulfillment post office rate. So they're not much more expensive. So it's not much more expensive. But the beauty of the system is you can have all your inventory in Amazon, and then you can put all your inventory on eBay and all your inventory on Shopify or Etsy or wherever you want to do it. And then if a customer buys on eBay, you can use FBA to ship the order to the customer. Now, this has existed forever, basically, as long as FBA has been around. But the big problem is that if a customer ordered multi-channel fulfillment, it would come in an Amazon branded box. Now, if you've got an eBay order in an Amazon branded box, perhaps not so much of an issue, but certainly if you've got your own brand and your own website, and the customer's getting a parcel in an Amazon branded box, that's not great for a customer experience. But the beauty of the new thing that's been launched today is that they will now ship these multi-channel fulfillment orders in plain packaging so that they won't come in an Amazon branded box.
Yeah. And I think the thing is that what it will also help, I mean, there's a number, literally it happened like an hour ago. So I haven't had time to fully absorb it, see how we're, potentially going to use it, all these different types of things, because it's not something that's just going to change our lives overnight. Obviously, it's something you have to look into. You have to look in the fees. And I've got the fee table up and I'll mention something about that.
I was going to say, is there a charge? I've not had this involved.
Yeah.
Is there a charge for the plain packaging?
That I haven't clicked into and had a look at yet. So if you're saying that could happen, but whilst it's on a pilot, I can't imagine they would do that. But I will confirm that.
It used to be a £1 charge. So you would select Amazon branded packaging, plain packaging, and they used to charge you £1 for plain packaging.
Do you know what? Now that you've said that, it's ringing a bell, but I think it must have got taken out as we were coming into selling on it. I reckon it was around
It was about 2017. I think it was quite a while ago, a few years ago.
Yeah, either it was available very briefly or whatever. But how this can potentially help, and I've just seen Darren's comments about being deactivated. Unfortunately, it's one of those things. I'm talking, with Chantel. So fingers crossed. That I know your situation at the moment. So hopefully you guys can get sorted. Just cutting in on that. Just be resilient. Make sure you just keep going with those pills. It will get resolved. How long it will take, I don't know, but please don't give up. Like I've said, it's only when you give up that's when it doesn't kind of work out. So please just keep going. Even if you choose to never sell on Amazon ever again afterwards, it's always better to get your account back than 2-3 years down the line think, oh, I'll start selling on Amazon again, and then you've got to go through that process then. So I would never encourage anyone to leave selling on Amazon due to a suspended account. Always try and get it back first. But yeah, I know the circumstances, and it's definitely not a permanent suspension or anything like that. So just keep going with it. So with regards to the multi-channel fulfillment, you mentioned about the brands. Now this is something that's going to be only available to people that sell their own brands. So if you're selling a 6-pack of Cup of Soup under a Cup of Soup brand, not going to be able to do it. So it's not going to be good for like drop shippers. Yeah, it's for own brands only.
Maybe they'll roll that out in time then.
Possibly. But but if that's the case, the only people I think from a reselling point of view it would actually help are drop shippers, who one of the big things is, you buy it from on eBay, if you're eBay drop shipping or someone else drop shipping or whatever, and then you get an Amazon package and then they potentially could complain, that type of thing. So this is for own brands at the moment. So this is going to be for the people that run their own brands, list their own brands, not selling on existing kind of branded listings, as we can see at the moment. But this is a pilot, so that could change. There's no doubt about that. But if you are a brand owner, what this could really help with, and I know it's something that you're constantly managing, Matthew, and anyone that has their own warehouse and doing their own fulfillment, what this could be a massive advantage is not having to worry about stock management, where you have to keep certain amount back for this site, certain amount for this site. Then actually, if you send that one out, do you have to deactivate it there? It can make people that want to run their brand and fulfill it solely through Amazon, it makes inventory management a little bit better. Now, I know you've said you wouldn't give Amazon that power anyway, and I get that. But maybe for people who are
certainly, I'm going to say for starting out, it's fantastic, particularly if you're launching your own website, because being realistic about launching a website, it's going to take you months to get sales, and you don't want to basically add cost onto the development of the website by having to retain stock to keep it exclusively for your website, so that you have stock available when you're pushing your website. Ideally, you want to have everything available for sale on Amazon, and then it can basically create fulfillment orders from your website to your website customers. So you're not having to hold stock back, and it will just automatically flow through that way, and you can replenish the stock. So yeah, it certainly works. If you start in eBay, you start in start Shopify, then this is a great way to have additional products on your website. Now, how we're going to use it, how we do use it, is when we've got, say, small inventory numbers. So if we've got 5, realistically, we're probably going to sell most of them on Amazon, or we want to send all of them to Amazon, and then we can have the option to have that product available on our website as well, without having to keep it in stock.
Yeah, I just imagine for a lot of people either starting out, or that choice, that ability to be able to have it, and from a cost point of view actually as well, with rising costs, that type of thing, we all know when it comes to shipping costs, nobody can compete with the buying power of Amazon. Now I actually think David says no additional fee for unbranded box.
That's good then.
Yeah, very good. Thanks for clarifying that, David. What I actually think, I'd like to say that Amazon have had this plan all along, maybe. Well, they probably have. They probably have. I mean, it's Amazon at the end of the day. But a little while ago, and I can't remember exactly because the months all kind of mold into each other, Amazon actually, the only negative about multi-channel fulfillment was that it was quite expensive compared to FBA. If you sold it through the Amazon platform. So just to clarify, for multi-channel fulfillment, you do not pay anything other than the fulfillment fee. So you don't pay Amazon's 15.3% for the referral fee, but you do pay an increased fulfillment fee, which is presumably the fulfillment fee with a little something on top for Amazon. That's why it's more expensive, because they're not going to allow you to use all of their facilities for nothing.
Yeah,
Of course. So that's, you would expect. It's actually one of the things that's not actually unreasonable from Amazon. You would expect.
It's about, I think it's about it's about double, I think. So if something's sort of £2, you're looking about £4 for.
Well, it used to be, but they slashed the prices.
They've gone down again, have they now?
They've gone down again. So it's about the only thing in the world right now that is cheaper than it used to be. So just to give you a quick idea, I'm just going to quickly flick onto it. I can't share my screen. But a parcel up to a kilo, something like that, used to be £4.11 on the standard service, £5.71 expedited. So that would be under pretty much next day delivery. Now is £3.50 standard, £4.30 expedited.
See, this is where if you're clever, this can be really, really powerful. Now, people starting out on eBay, you want to keep your costs low, fulfill from your house kind of thing. That's fine. But where the power here is, the expedited cost is the cheapest you'll probably get anywhere. I don't think any courier will do expedited less than £6. Royal Mail certainly won't. UPS is about £6 unless you've got an account with you're putting hundreds of parcels a week through. You're probably only going to be looking at £5 anyway. So the major advantage of this is if you offer next day shipping on your eBay site, then you can have Amazon send the orders and they will get to the customer next day. Takes a lot of pressure off you if you're only working yourself. There's no staff and no warehouse. You can offer next day, reliably have it shipped to the customer. Another massive advantage is high value items. Amazon covers any loss for shipping through multi-channel fulfillment. If you've got high value items you're worried about, you might end up spending £12-13 on insurance. Amazon will cover it for £4.
Yeah, absolutely. And Catherine said still quite expensive, but don't forget they're covering the cost of the box. They're covering the cost of the time of packing it, sending it. You don't have to run down to the post office. You don't have to wait in for Royal Mail to come. It's all these external kind of factors. So, but yeah, excellent for getting rid of that stock. So I think sometimes we can be just really focused on the price, but as Matthew and Johnny and people like that talk about all the time, it's not necessarily just that price, it's all of the external factors. The time it takes you to pay someone to pick, pack and send it, how much petrol does it take to run down to your post, all of these different types of things. That's all included for the cost of that fee. And it's being delivered by what would be considered, I would imagine nowadays, the biggest the biggest kind of delivery network in the world now. Amazon must be the biggest fulfillment network in the world, I would have thought. I don't know.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Unless it's either be that or someone like UPS. But I think Amazon must be the largest.
Yeah, and I completely get what Darren's saying, and this is what you said, Matt. I can, especially if you're coming off of the back of a suspension or where you've been in that position with Amazon where you've trusted them fully and they've shafted you, essentially. I completely get that, and I would heed Matthew's advice. I would never, ever, ever be in a position where everything is in there, because everything's a balance. We're talking about how great, what potential opportunity is, but it'd be unfair of us if we didn't talk about the potential negatives. Yeah. If you put all of your value stock in Amazon and you get a suspended account and you can't remove that stock and they hold your funds and all this, it could kill your business as well. So
another one is hazmat. We had a product we sold, multi-channel fulfillment, went hazmat, and we couldn't fulfill the order because the item went hazmat until we'd got all the SDSs. And then, of course, the order was late by the time it went out because it took them 3 days to read the SDSs and reactivate the product. Because when something's hazmat, they won't move it anywhere. They won't transport it or return it or anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's one of those things, before you embark on anything, try it. Try the system. I mean, this is a pilot at the moment, and obviously we'll let you know how we get on with it. But I'd imagine when it's at pilot stage, it's normally 3 months, 6 months before it's rolled out to the general kind of population. I'd imagine it's the sort of thing, because now Amazon have all of a sudden, this is evidenced by all the kind of restock limits and things like that. And now, a year ago saying they didn't have any space, now saying that they've got abundance of space. So it's another service that they want to peddle. Sorry.
I do wonder. I was going to say this. I think the reason that they've introduced this is probably because they've now got too much space. So they're thinking, right, how can we best utilize this space? Get all the stock in. Get all the stock in that's paying for the warehousing.
Yeah, absolutely. Peter, absolutely right. You wouldn't value others' time at packing at zero. So, why would you value your own at this? And Matthew's been very vocal about that, about making sure that there is a cost for everything attributed. Otherwise, that it's going to be, a sorry state of affairs if you don't factor all of these, what would be considered to be hidden costs into your forecasts and potential growth and all this type of thing. So yeah, I mean, it always comes with balance. What is good for the goose might not be good for the gander. So you have to make sure that you have to try it and see what works for you. So I would say it's definitely worth looking into if it's rolled out to the rest of the Amazon selling community. But like anything else, maybe don't put all of your eggs in that Amazon basket, which is what we always talk about. But I do know Amazon does not like losing control, and they tend to make decisions like this when, as per my comment on the post, they potentially feel a threat could be coming from someone else. Maybe it's the eBay fulfillment. I don't know. They come out fighting. They tend to,
they're preempting. I think eBay fulfillment might be, because it's very much in like trial mode at the moment. I think maybe they're prepared to rolling it out bigger time. I don't know, and that's where the theory is coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. Darren said about, could you still create multi-channel fulfillment orders? And I know Cindy commented on it. I've never been in that position, so I don't know. But I've got a funny feeling you might be able to.
I can't confirm. Again, I've never been in that position, so I can't confirm. The only time I know you can't is when the product goes hazmat, and that's because they won't move it. Amazon refused to move it. Another thing, just a quick considerator here as well, is if your stock is in transit, then it will not be fulfillable until it reaches its destination. So you can still create the order, but it might be delayed. So it's just something to be aware of here. With multi-channel fulfillment, when they move it between warehouses, that can have an effect. Just a considerator there.
Right. Okay. I might not have read Darren's question properly, actually. He was saying, let me read it. The only issue I see is Amazon still have control. Should you get an IP claim, your selling account is deactivated. There was a small window which we could create, which is probably what Cindy was talking about. But now we can't do anything. They have the reins.
Right.
Right. Okay. So it was more a comment as opposed to, a question. Yeah, absolutely. I think we've already sort of covered that in everything that we've said. Relying fully on Amazon in this day and age is a mistake. There's no doubt about it. If everything was relying on just kind of selling on Amazon through FBA, I think it is a little bit dangerous. I think, I'm not saying that there aren't people out there that do it and will never have an issue whatsoever, but why, in a world where there's so much opportunity right now in the e-commerce space, and when opportunities like this create themselves, why wouldn't you kind of do it if you are in the right position for your business to do that?
If you're already in that position, if all your stock is already in FBA, then you've got absolutely nothing to lose because you're already in that position. And actually, it will help you get out of that position because it will help you build an eBay store or a Shopify store low cost because you're using Amazon. Then you get your eBay up to a size where you've got the feedback, the top rate seller, the selling allowances, and then you can take the step into your own fulfillment. So it's about stepping stones. You don't just, nobody goes from, right, I'm going to start selling, to having a warehouse of 10 staff unless you've got 10 million quid in the bank. It just doesn't happen. So there's got to be a process, and this is a nice kind of stepping stone to start that process that you can then move away from longer term.
Absolutely. Caitlin says it's a nice VA-friendly outsourceable task. Absolutely.
I was going to say, actually, there's a lot of software out there that will automate this process for you. Certainly through Shopify. If you're using Shopify, you can link your eBay inventory, and there's apps in Shopify that will create the fulfillment orders for you for your Shopify store. So you don't even have to do that. There's lots of apps that will do that for you.
Yeah. Cindy said, will it still affect your API score if you're just using it to store your goods and selling them?
Potentially.
Yes,
it
I would say it would.
Because you might have a lower sell-through rate. It wouldn't. The units wouldn't. When the units are being removed, because I think somebody said, because obviously another thing, you have to have a listing to be able to send the inventory in, otherwise it will go into stranded, and then after 90 days it'll either be returned or destroyed. So you will have to have a listing. But if you want to have like an exclusive eBay listing that's not really going to sell on Amazon, then you would potentially have a very low sell-through rate, a low ranking listing, which would increase your API score, if that makes sense. So you kind of really only want to do this with popular selling products that you almost don't want to keep back anyway, because you want them to sell.
Yeah. And I know I commented on the post about this as well. So unless there's a specific reason why you wouldn't be selling on Amazon, I wouldn't use this as just a a fulfillment option. I think you'd probably be better off maybe going and using an external 3PL or something like that. If it was just for a fulfillment option, the idea is to use it with the ease and the ability of being able to manage your stock whilst you're selling through Amazon, as well as diversifying into different selling platforms. So I probably wouldn't use it if it was just a fulfillment system. But again, as they've always wanted, I think, Amazon to make more out of MCF. I think they've always wanted it to be used more. So this could be the start of the development of that particular service of Amazon. We could be, like I said, it's been around forever, but no one uses it.
Yeah. I use it.
Yeah.
I know. It works great for our business.
To get ourselves out of trouble. That's when we've generally used it.
Yeah, to be fair, that's another good thing. But we use it, if we get a very high value product and we get them in, say, 10, for example. Mm-hmm. Now, this is, particularly if it's a good traffic driver for our website, it's a very high demanded product. Let's say PlayStation 5, a good example, right? We put them into Amazon because Amazon is where they're most likely to sell. They're all going to be fulfilled by Amazon, which means we've got the security, but we can also have it on our website and drive traffic to our website and get additional revenue. So that's the way it works well for us for low quantity, high value items.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing you can do, so this is a great tip for anybody who's been in this position. I know with everybody, if you're reselling, this would have happened to you at some point, is when you've sent something in, you realize that there's a duplicate listing or duplicate SKU. No, duplicate listing, sorry. And you send it in and then you find another one, an even more profitable one. And you think, oh, damn, I've sent it in on the wrong listing. I should have sent in this one. It sells better. It's got better price or something like that. You can actually use multi-channel fulfillment to fulfill from one listing to the other. So what you would do is you would list it merchant fulfilled on the other listing, and then you can fulfill the order via multi-channel fulfillment, through the existing stock that is being held on the work or the other SKU in Amazon. So there's little hacks and things like that. It's always been useful for over the years. So, which is good. Darren says, sorry, I lost signal right as you mentioned my comment. Oh, sorry, it's been too long ago now. You're gonna have to
repost it.
Yeah, go back and watch that, I'm afraid. So apologies for that. This is a good question. So what is your the piece has asked, what's your definition of a high value product? I know what mine is. It'd be interesting because you
see, I think it's all
relative,
but for me, I think it was over £500 cost would be considered high value.
Wow, that's really interesting. Let us know in the comments, guys. What do you think high value is? Because it's very subjective. It's very subjective. And for me personally, I would consider anything over £100 to be high value. I know that wouldn't be for a lot of people, but I consider that because that's the barrier. I believe that most people will make an instant decision on buying something. So I see it very much as soon as it goes.
I think there's a lot of people in favor with you. 2 people are 100.
Yeah, I see it very much as soon as you go above that £100 mark, you know me, I'm very much into my selling psychology and what makes someone buy something over why they don't buy something else. And definitely that £100 is that barrier to, okay, I need to think about whether I'm not going to buy this. Psychologically, then I think it means this is a high value purchase for me to make because I need to think about it. That's the way I look at it. So definitely, if you want someone to buy you a Christmas present, get it from Matthew because he's going to spend more money on you. Oh yeah, a lot of people 100. Yeah,
£100. Yeah, no, I can see why. I mean, we wouldn't even insure a £100 product personally.
Yeah,
wouldn't put any insurance on it. I say our minimum insurance value is 150. So if it's over 150, it gets put with a signature. If it's over 500, it automatically goes on special delivery. If it's say 500 is kind of our like high value, and because I think our average order value is about £80 anyway. So
yeah, I'm just about to say that. That's the thing. You sell a lot of higher value items, whereas most of us sell, like I said, 6-pack of pot noodles for $9.99. So it really does, it is subjective. And I think the thing is as well is when you do sell higher value items, you become more comfortable with the cost of what you're selling at. For most of us, we'd be like, oh my God, if I sell a £500 item, if someone returns it, it's going to be a big dent. And that's absolutely true. But when you do it more...
is for me, actually, I have the opposite opinion because for me, a £500 item has considerable resale value. If you sell £9.99 pot noodles, and you sell 1,000 and 500 come back, then you're probably going to skip them all. Whereas if I have a £500 laptop, I'll probably just sell it as used like new and just repackage it.
If 5,000 pot noodles come back to me, I'm eating them. They ain't getting resold, I'll tell you that now. I love pot noodles. But yeah, no, it is subjective, and it really does depend on what you're selling. And high value items, we sell a high value item in the US for private label as well. So whilst you would be more scared of returns from that point of view, from a positive point of view, when you sell higher value items, you tend to have more margin in them, which gives you more options to be able to spend more on advertising, these different types of things. So it's definitely subjective, and there is very much different options that you can do different things depending on the price of what you're selling. Absolutely. If you're selling something, it's got to be Sean that says that. Yeah. About not paying VAT. I knew that would be Sean not paying VAT on pot noodles. But yeah, if you sell on thinner margins, on smaller margins, lower value stuff does wipe out your profit for a hell of a lot longer than higher. So we're not pro or against higher. It's something that, again, it's very subjective and individual to the person that's selling it. Darren says,
and also back to what Sean says someone said about cost. It's a cost thing as well. Don't forget, I have considerable overheads.
Yes,
that you don't and others don't. So I have to make 30-40 grand a month just to keep the lights on. That's the reality of my business. So one of the easy ways for me to do that is sell £500 laptops to make 100 quid of them, because £100 contributes towards 30,000 more than £1 does of £9.99.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, by the way, did you always sell high value? I don't think I've ever asked you this. Or did you start out selling and then progress into it? I don't think I've ever asked you that.
No, so we kind of always had. I always kind of didn't sell low value items, but we've really, since COVID, really ramped it up. Our average order value in 2019 was £30. It's now £80.
Wow.
So it's completely like we do. For example, I'll give you a fact. My sales for today, I've done 42 orders and £2,800.
Yeah. So your average on that is like what? 40 quid.
Yeah, 40 quid today.
Yeah.
So we do sell low value items, but yeah, overall averages out.
Well, it's the same in the US. We can easily do $6,000 in a day in terms of selling the private label product. But at the end of the day, it's only 60 orders because, the average of what we sell is like $100. So it's never about, the amount of units that you sell a lot of the time. By the way, if you're ever researching your own products to sell, this is a really great tip. Always look and take into account the amount of units that people are selling versus the amount of money that they are generating. So look at the average order price in terms of what it's doing, because people automatically, when they're looking at products to sell on Amazon, I'm mainly talking about people selling more their own products as opposed to reselling products here. People will automatically look at the revenue generated. And they'll look at it and say, right, well, that's the best one. That's the competition I want to base myself on because they're generating the most revenue. Well, actually, you don't really want to be doing that. You want to be looking at the amount of orders they're getting, the amount of units they're selling, and understanding why they're selling as many units. Is it purely price driven? Okay, that's probably the reason why they're selling more than, you're selling or the next person's selling, or you will potentially if you have a higher price point. So understanding all those difference between and the correlation between units sold and revenue generated, that's something that I spend a lot of time looking into. So yeah, boring to some, but that's what I spend my Saturday nights doing. Last comment on this, and then I just want to quickly move on and before, as always, time always escapes us whilst we're here. Darren says multi-channel fulfillment has been great for us, selling a handful private label and across, perfect for that, absolutely, across eBay. Purely for customer service, it's a great addition. Speed of delivery is huge, and everyone thinks we are Amazon. Absolutely. And more so with the laptop lifestyle in mind. Definitely. So for some of you, I know, I'm not picking anyone out, but people I know like Hayden, that who really do want to live that kind of digital nomad lifestyle, that have maybe hesitated into diversifying onto different platforms. It's perfect for that. That level of expansion can come and growth through having a service like this. So yeah, exciting, and definitely more evidence, I think, of where Amazon want people to go with creating their own brands, creating their own opportunities. Amazon is just, that's what they want. They want to be the marketplace of brands. Not cheap Chinese crap. That's what they want.
Exactly. Yeah.
For sure. Right, what else are we going to talk about? Let's talk about price tanking, which is always fun, because it was kind of leading in, and I know that people are just being battered at the moment, and I wanted to talk about this. It kind of led into what we were talking about before, Matt, was you were kind of saying that price tanking doesn't really affect you at the moment, and again, probably on the higher up value, that could be the reason why, because a lot of you're having issue more with getting the stock. So therefore, if that's the case, then there's a supply issue. And when there's a supply issue, and demand is high, then prices are never going to tank. They're never going to go down in that case.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I think particularly in the retail, we found that it's. So I was just replying to Paulina's
Yeah,
comment. She said, "Oh,
I
do I
saw
sell
you
in
pop
five
up
hundred
there, and
pounds?"
I thought, "Oh,
Yeah, he said, "Do you
sorry,
sell in five
Paulina, I
hundred pounds?"
missed your question.
Yeah, it's fine.
Apologies."
So yeah, we're finding in the retail space that there's a supply issue in terms of a lot of goods either aren't available. There's a lot less clearance. So, for example, I've been doing working with a retailer recently. The prices are right, the products are there, but the quantity is not there. So, whereas 2 years ago I would go around and do the sale and I'd sort of pick up 5 or 10 a store, I'm now picking up ones and twos. So that's where we're having the problem. But to compensate for that, we found that the margin has gone up. So we're now working the same amount for less units, but we're making more money. So is that better? I don't know. I guess there's going to be a fall off point where you're not getting enough stock to make it worthwhile. But currently, we're working with less stock and more margin
Yeah,
due to supply issues.
yeah, and I think the thing is, it's and this is what I want to say to people. And I don't want people to think this is a negative comment. I really don't live in the dark at all. I do always try and live in the light as much as possible in terms of doom and gloom and not getting dragged down and things like that. But I want to say this because I think it's really important to talk about when people talk about multiple streams of income and diversification and all these different types of things, that if we kind of track back for a minute and we talk about what is potentially coming, rising costs, all of these different types of things, potential recession, that type of thing. There is going to be a multitude of people out there that are going to be looking for new opportunities and ways to make money. It's as simple as that. You see any guru at the moment banging on about recession and that type of thing. It's because they know that there is going to be a wealth of people flooding in looking for additional ways to make money. There's no doubt about it. They know that is going to happen because people get scared, during and people on fixed incomes that, want to get a side hustle. They want to pay for all the extras, maybe that they're going to miss out on holidays, that type of thing, or maybe just to keep the lights on. So, and what's actually happening is there's a kind of project of fear at the moment. And this is what I don't want people to focus on as much as possible. So when we talk about diversifying, you're already in this kind of this position of being in control of your own destiny. And, don't allow people who are that easily affected to bring you down. Essentially, look at things objectively, from a price tanking point of view. Yes, not everyone can afford to wait for 6 months for a product to recover, but what I will say is, and I believe we will see this as evidence in the coming months, that we're in a little bit of a price tanking Q4 situation. Is I believe the prices will plummet on Amazon with the increase in saturation. But I do believe we're in a bit of a situation similar to Q4, is that the people potentially left are aware of the rising costs and prices and things like that. So I actually think you will start to see price recovery quicker in this scenario. We don't know that yet because we're only just going into this period of time. So it's not something I can turn around at the moment and say, well, this is proof of that. We're not going to be able to look at that for 3-4 months down the line, whether or not that's the case. But it will be really interesting, I think, to see that. But I think where people are being absolutely driven by fear, it's making prices, because normally with price tanking, you'll see it slowly.
Yeah,
Now you're seeing that at the moment.
yeah. I was just about to say the problem is a lot of new sellers. A lot of new sellers joined in the space in the past 2 years as well with the COVID. You've had
Mhm.
the COVID increases. Amazon's been doing well. Everyone's been doing well. The problem is reality's hit now. This is what normal market conditions are. Prices go down at this point of the year until about September, then they go back up. And as well, a lot of people are seeing lower sales and they're getting scared and they're cutting the prices. And then someone else is then seeing their sales drop off, so they're cutting their prices. And you just end up undercutting each other. And there's no need to, especially with supply issues, because all that's going to happen is in, like you say, I think a couple of weeks, couple of months, that product will not be physically available from anywhere at that price point because the brand has probably increased the RRP by 10-20%.
Absolutely, 100%. So by the time that catches up, what's going to happen? And we see it all the time. Been, doing this long enough, seen thousands of charts over the years to know that this is how it works. It's it's as simple as that. We're in a slightly unique situation now. Chris says tankers come and go. I'm so glad I just said that like that. It could have come out really wrong. We could call them something else as well that rhymes with that. I used to be really bothered by them when I first started. Now I'm not bothered by them the slightest. Absolutely, it's 100% the best attitude to have. And I know you said about new sellers, Matt, and I know you don't mean it like this, but I never blame the new sellers for it, because I don't
mean to blame them.
I know. Sorry, I know that
experience of kind of market conditions outside of this almost a bubble again of COVID, and this is not at all abnormal. This period of price decline is completely normal.
If completely normal. Selling on Amazon any point in the last 2 years, you've never experienced normal selling conditions.
Exactly. Yeah,
you have normal market selling conditions. But it's the big boys, it's the high volume guys, they don't, what will happen is they have a very specific model. They have to get in, they have to get out. They want that product to sell as quickly as possible. And they are happy with 10%. They are happy with whatever. So what I will say is please do not try and compete. Because like I said, sometimes new sellers get a bit of a bad rap and they don't know what they're doing and that type of thing. Yeah. It's not that, generally a lot of the biggest price tankers are the most experienced sellers. They get in, they get out. It's a strategy. Don't allow that strategy to spook people. 50% of the lemmings will throw themselves off of the cliff. There's no doubt about that. But always be safe in the knowledge that it will recover. And if that is what you want to do, and that's the model that you want to sell, you either need to be fast selling, get out, small margin, simple as that. But you got to turn over a lot. You got to have that machine in place to do that. Or you got to be the person that sells 3 or 4 months behind anyone else. You have to be the person that but that requires cash flow.
That's our strategy. We go wide with the sourcing and we buy stuff and we almost sit on it. It's an expectation that we're going to sit on it because 1,000 will be dumped in. Most products are dumped in large quantities by either distributors or there's a big sales on. There's a few things, retail clearance that you might get 1s and 2s of, but the majority of big sale items are dumped into the market in their thousands. That's the reason that the price has gone so low, because there's so many of them. We will buy that stock, we will put it on the shelf, and we will wait till everybody else sells out. But because we've got other products that we did this months ago with, they're now coming in and they pay the bills. And then this product that will sell in a month's time. And we kind of have this rolling product cycle of things that we bought in January are now coming into being our best selling lines, and then stuff that we buy today will probably be coming to sort of July time will be our best selling lines. And that's how we work.
Yeah, absolutely. Different strokes for different folks. I say it all the time. It's something, and when you are concentrating on your selling strategy, you concentrate on what works for you. There will be times when you'll look at something and you'll think, yeah, I'll be happy with 10%. Chuck that in. I'll join the gang, and then I'll recycle the profit. But also remember to margin mix as well, guys, because everyone's guilty of this. You buy 6 products, you sell the first 2 at £10 profit. £5 profit, whatever. Then you see the price plummet and you think, oh no, I want to wait for that £5 profit again. Well, actually, it might be better to sell the next 2 at £2 profit and then the next, the final 2 at £1 loss. Yeah. That might be better for your cash flow system. So it's always better. You don't have to sit there and wait for 6 months for the price to recover. Be smart, look at stuff and look at that average ROI, because you sell your first 2 at 50%. If you're smart with the next 4, you might still come out overall at 30%. So that's always the way I look at it. Chris said I had a £50 item selling really well, 30 quid profit 2 weeks ago. A new seller came in the list and slashed the price to 32.99. Well, yeah, some people are just stupid. I can't. And you'll always get the argument off of people. Yeah, well, I increase the I increased the sell rate. I increased the sales velocity because I slashed the price. Great. But I would rather sell 2 with 18 extra pound profit or 19 extra pound profit. So,
but there could be a reason to do that, if you think cash, because the thing with my strategy is cash flow is really important. You've got to have a lot of cash. So people don't have a lot of cash. And if you've not got a lot of cash, let's say you bought this on a credit card, that bill is due on, say, the 25th of May. You need to sell that product because you have to get that money back to pay that bill, or you're going to pay interest on it. So particularly, this is part of the reason I think some people do it. The big boys do it as well. They have their own cash. They don't borrow money. They keep the cost low, and they turn it over. 10% on your own money is the same as 30% with 10% interest. It's kind of the same principle. Borrow money and sell high with high margins, or use your own money and keep it low. Both strategies work. They're just different strategies.
Absolutely. I've never been a fan of the do it on a credit card for that very reason. I don't get me wrong. I think it requires, and the reason I say that, it's very personal, because I'm rubbish at stuff like that. And I would miss the bill, and I would do this and I would do that and whatever. So that personally wouldn't work for me. So I've never really been able to champion that strategy, because it would be really disingenuous to do so, and say, yeah, you should do this strategy. You should take out thousands of pounds worth of credit cards and fund it through that, because I know I couldn't personally do it myself, because it just wouldn't work for me. But I think that, and this is going to sound really harsh, and I don't mean it. No, I do mean it, actually. No, I do mean it. But running businesses isn't for everyone, and it shouldn't be for everybody. No. And when you pick and you see these strategies for, by people and things like that, you think that you make hay while the sun shines. But when it comes to services returning to normal, yes, we talk about, new people coming onto the market. That will happen. But I tell you what, the chaff, or the ones that have only, operated in the sunshine the last couple of years, they're going to fall by the wayside.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So, Harminder, I personally follow the same as Harminder. This is the strategy I like. And I know there's big sellers out there that do this. Philip Dyke, people like that. Buy the stock and you hold on to it. You hold on to it for a certain period of time before you put it on. And, yes, you have to have warehouse or storage space or something to be able to do it. But it works, that's the strategy I personally like as well. And it's incredibly profitable for sure.
Definitely.
Okay, last few comments. Hopefully it's not been a downer. I know we've talked about some sort of Debbie Downer issues, but I always like to put a positive spin on them as much as possible. Pardeep said, I had an item £4.50 cost, selling for £18 to £22, profit £6 to £8. Phenomenal. Yeah. Wouldn't we all like products like that? Very nice, especially for such a low cost product as well. You normally nowadays don't see £6 to £8 profit unless you're selling something 40 quid. I
have a few good margin items, but do you know what? Actually, really good point. Actually, I think this is one thing you learn as you grow. It's a lot easier to source £1,000 worth of inventory at sort of 40, 50%, 60, 70, maybe even 100% ROI. But to source 10, £100,000 worth of product is impossible to get that kind of ROI. And what you'll see is your ROI will fall as your sales increase, because it just isn't possible to get that much stock at that kind of profit. There isn't that many units out there. So and maybe again, that's partly why people undercut. They could have really high ROI on a very small, but they've only got 1 or 2 units. Whereas if you've got 1,000 units, there's no way any kind of distributor is going to sell you 1,000 units at 100% ROI, because they're just not stupid.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you sell those higher kind of ticket items and things like that, it does require deep pockets. There's no doubt about it, for the exact reasons you said. And, the strategies that we impart and the strategies I teach as well, with the bundle side of things as well, it's why you it doesn't grow as quickly as arbitrage potentially does, because your average order cost and your average cost of goods is higher generally than it is on the reselling side of things. So I completely agree. It's something that you have to kind of ease into it a little bit more, unless, you know, you're someone that, you know, comes into some very deep pockets really quickly, for sure. I'll just read out Sean saying, just sort of doing that might be worth thinking about. I've got a couple of, one final thing I just wanted to sort of discuss before we go is kind of rising costs within business. You know, we're a warehouse owner, you're a warehouse owner. So some of the things that potentially we can look at to kind of combat the rising costs of everything at the moment. But I'll just quickly see last couple of comments, what we were talking about previously. Chris says, Matthew, without a doubt, cash flow is king, and they might have worked out that this way works for them. Yeah, I think I'm just talking about what we're talking. Sean said, or just hustle and pay yourself a little and grow your capital. Sean's king of that. You know, really great strategy of being able to grow his business through, you know, I don't want to say on like a shoestring, but, you know, being able to focus his energy on being able to grow his business, you know, and doing it from that point of view, as opposed to focusing on, I don't know, external factors, I suppose. So yeah.
Can I just add in there actually? This is something that I've really kind of come to terms with in the past year. Is you've got to be very. That's great. You know, you got to keep an eye on your costs. Absolutely, we're probably going to talk about this anyway. But one thing I've really learned is be careful not to watch the pennies and miss the pounds. You know, sometimes you do have to spend the money to get the return on investment. You know, for example, my take image system now, it's costing me $1,000 a month plus 4,000 or 5,000 setup costs. But if I penny pinched and kept our current system, I could be losing 100 grand in revenue a year by not having this cross selling of all the different items. So sometimes you've got to, you know, watching the pennies can miss the pounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Pardy said, with these live chats, is there a fixed time? Just so I can fit it into my other job. Not while I'm talking, there isn't. No, I think what you're saying is, yeah, we're on 1 o'clock every Tuesday, Pardy. So it'll be great if you can join us. You can watch via YouTube, which incidentally, if you are watching via YouTube, please make sure you give us a thumbs up. Please, if you can comment on the actual video, not the feed itself. So it all helps with like the algorithm and, you know, whatnot. And, you know, just subscribe to the Nevermind the Buy Box channel, which actually I might be changing the name of soon. Not this will always be called Nevermind the Buy Box. Or again, as you just told me about your holiday, I haven't told you about this yet, but I think I changed the name of the channel to ECOM Inner Circle. So, but this chat, the weekly kind of Q&A discussion chat, will always be Nevermind the Buy Box because, you know, it's just such a cool name. Anyway, so Sean said, absolutely. There's so yes, Party, 1 o'clock every Tuesday. We generally talk for an hour and a half, something like that. Depends how chatty. Depends how chatty I am, which is I'm always chatty. Sean says, that's why I hold on to my job before paying myself and done it full time and then scale bigger. Absolutely. Invested 45 grand in the last few years. Now got his team working from home, which is, you know, is phenomenal. Like I said, being able to grow your business like that, it's very innovative, and big credit to Sean for doing that, for thinking outside the box and doing it different. And that's what I love about these type of communities, and learning from different people that do things differently and don't necessarily just follow the same old as anyone else. Because if you do that for too long, you get left behind, to be perfectly honest. You know, this is something with this type of world, there's innovations and there's things that are being done so quickly and changes that are being made that if you are still doing the same thing that you were doing 5 years ago and it's still working for you, you are incredibly lucky.
Yeah,
that's what definitely. I was sorry, I don't believe in luck. I don't believe in luck. You are very fortunate, I should say, as opposed to lucky. That was the wrong word. Right, fixed costs. We'll just talk about that really quickly, or not fixed costs, but kind of warehouse costs and things like that. We all know that the cost of living is increasing, particularly things like the cost of packaging, cardboard boxes, the cost of paper, all of these things, the cost of energy, the cost of running, it's all going up unless multi-channel fulfillment's going down. So as Matthew said earlier, that's my first tip on that. So I'm stealing his tip. Being able to recognize and use things like that might be really smart. Cost of cardboard boxes is going up. The cost of deliveries are going up. If you can potentially use something like multi-channel fulfillment, you could potentially be saving on some of your costs that are going up that necessarily might be more competitive for you to use through a service like Amazon. So always be open-minded to certain things and don't necessarily just look at that figure as a whole. Look at all of those costs that are contributing to that particular factor. That can make a difference.
Yeah, definitely.
And also, you might have to, if you are selling quite a lot for a cash flow point of view, and you're ordering boxes by the pallet, you might be paying out £500-600 of your cash flow, for a pallet of boxes or something like that as well. So it might be easier just to send those goods into Amazon, keep the cash and invest it in what will make you money as opposed to what's sat in the corner.
Yeah. Another thing, actually, we've done a lot more of multi-channel fulfillment because particularly on bulky items, it's more cost effective to just send them directly to the consumer than it is to send them to Amazon because of the costs of going up. Not the shipping to Amazon, it's not really gone up particularly, it's gone up a little bit. But FBA fees are going up and boxes are going up. So rather than putting it in a box to then pay for Amazon to put it in a box, we just send it to the customer.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's all about looking at things like that and looking at the processes and seeing, is there something you can take out? Okay, if you've got that added step in the process, are you using extra materials? Are you using extra manpower? Are you using extra resources in order to do that? So I think now with the price of costs going up, it's a really good time to get those processes reviewed. Have a look at your processes, do that take them through that review process and see whether or not, is there too many steps? Whilst we were in COVID, whilst we were in a period of time where people were paying silly money to have that level of convenience delivered right to their door, are people's expectations starting to change a little bit? So can they wait an extra day for the delivery? All of these different things. Can you save a little bit of time? Do you need to send it next day now? Do you need to send it? Well, yeah, probably we'll send it tracked and recorded, of course. But, having a look at those processes does make a big difference in terms of, if you're sending 300 units a week and you can shave, I'm not saying you could, but if you could shave £1 off every single one, that's £300 that could go towards the rising cost of something else.
Yeah. Another good tip as well, what we started doing, if something can go stickerless, i.e. where you don't have to put a barcode on an Amazon barcode, where it's stickerless, we create a list and have the supplier send it to Amazon. Reduces our costs.
Yeah.
What we're doing is we're creating a shipment and then send it straight to Amazon rather than us receiving it, then taking it out, repackaging it, sending it in, then just send it straight to Amazon.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's always a good opportunity to be able to look at these type of things, review the processes, but also just the basics. Make sure, I bang on about this in ESA all the time, that when you're purchasing your goods, making sure that you are looking for the best possible price of that particular product. You're using and maximizing the best possible cashback opportunity. Have you got the opportunity to buy a discounted gift card for that particular product? You're trying to squeeze as much margin out of everything as possible. But yeah, it's criminal if you are not making sure that you are not maximizing your cashback opportunities as much as possible. Literally, we go through it in ESA quite a bit, because even the people that are in ESA, even my Matt's terrible. I'm like, did you put it through top cashback? And he's like, and I'm like, did you? And he's like, and I'm like, no, you didn't. So Matt's not allowed to do any purchasing or anything like that now, because even after all these years, you still forget to do it, and you're literally leaving free money on the table. So maximize your benefits. And it's little things like, making sure you use your Nectar card, making sure you use your or whatever, because I know it's real penny stuff, but I tell you what, by the end of the year, when it adds up.
Well, think about it. If you're, let's say you're average size seller, let's say you buy £100,000 worth of inventory, which I don't think is unreasonable for most people in this group.
No, absolutely
and
not.
You don't get 1% cash back. That's £1,000 that you're losing. That would pay for a holiday for the two of you somewhere. You could go to Italy for a week for free, but you don't. You'd rather stay at home because you lose the 1% cash back. Now, scale it up to my size. I buy £1 million. That's £10,000 a year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huge amounts of money you're losing just by not getting cash back.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, we forget about the basics sometimes. You end up talking about, complicated inventory strategies and this and that and whatever. Whereas sometimes all you need to do is just remember to click that link, or you just remember to maximize that profit as much as possible. Capital on tap, absolutely. Another perfect example of that. Making sure, the Amex, we did upgrades through the Amex points for the Avion.
Yeah, we did. We recently booked to go to New York for free with American Express.
Yeah, exactly.
We had to pay the taxes and the charges, but we haven't paid a penny for the flights. They were completely free.
Do you know what was interesting? I saw your comment, and I think it was David, ironically, that you were having this discussion with about business seats. I have never in my life seen business class seats as cheap as they are now. Flights, normal flights, ridiculously expensive, but business class seats compared to what they were a couple of years ago, before COVID, obviously, really cheap. They were offering. We upgraded on the way out to Florida. And we used the points to upgrade from economy to premium, and then we paid for an upgrade to business class, and it was ridiculously cheap. And when I say ridiculously, I know it's going to sound expensive to some people, but compared to what it was, it was just under £200 each to upgrade.
That's nothing, we actually booked a holiday pre-COVID to Dubai. We wanted to go business class. It was £5,000 return each.
Yeah, we paid. We paid $179 each to upgrade from premium to business. Now it's not from economy to business, because obviously the gap would have been much bigger. But the woman said to us at the time, she said she has not seen it that cheap for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And we'd noticed it on the prices anyway as well, because we were thinking about, should we do it beforehand or whatever? But we didn't. We're glad we did, and we're glad we did it when we got to the airport, because it was so much cheaper, and the flight was half empty as well. Yeah. Like I said, Disney was massively busy, but it was busy with Americans. We spoke to one English family while we were there. Normally we would speak to loads.
You think people I suppose Disney, though, it's kind of one of them holidays that you book well in advance, isn't it? And I think a lot of people are kind of just going, I think they're sure now, but I don't think people were sure last year, so they probably wouldn't have booked it last year for now.
I think most people will be going back to Disney from the
next
UK
year, I think so.
Next year, and I think you'll see a lot of people in the summer holidays this year. But yeah, I agree. I think it will be predominantly from next year, because this is boring Disney talk, but if you go to Disney as a family, one of the best ways to do it from a UK point of view is to get the free dining, and that's something that Disney haven't offered, during COVID. So it makes it really expensive for people to go without the free dining. So as soon as that goes back on, which apparently is supposed to be coming back on the next week or so for anyone that's thinking of booking a Disney holiday, but that won't impact until the 2024 or maybe 2023 holidays. So that'll be interesting. You need to be jabbed to go to the USA. Yeah, that's and you need to be they're both the booster, the lot. You need the lot. So some people won't want to go. Absolutely, I completely agree, Sean. So yeah, it does. It excludes a certain amount of people, and you have to pay to do the tests. So those tests, I don't know if Matt can confirm, they might be 300 quid. The tests as well. So, and that's still going on now. You still have to do that now. So
we're not going till December, so I'm hoping it's gone by then.
Yeah, September they think.
Right,
Possibly,
that'll be good.
yeah, September. That's when they think the testing will go. But I tell you what, I don't want to say this. They're talking about new variants in America. Whereas here, there's nothing on the news. There is nothing on the news about COVID. They're banging on. It's all over the news in the States is COVID, and not talking about the recession, but they're talking about COVID. So yeah, it's weird, but there's some weird stuff going on in the States at the moment, I must admit, and I'm not going to get into what it is or what it is, but when you're out there, when you're in that bubble, there's definitely some weird stuff. That's Bill Gates. I don't know if you're being I never know with Sean if he's been serious or not, but I do like the old, they talk about Bill Gates quite a lot in America. So I had a few Americans mention it to me, whether or not Bill Gates was involved in everything that's going on. So I don't look into it that much.
Love a good conspiracy, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Well, I think we will wrap it up today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. It's been good to get back into the fold and start talking about Amazon again. And yeah, like I said, as always, remains the same. Opportunity is real. Opportunity is here for anyone that wants it. So please, please concentrate on your own journey. And like I said, yeah, there's some crappy times coming, but
doesn't have to be for everybody.
Yeah, stay in control of what you can control, or have influence of what you can control of. So hopefully that's the message I definitely wanted to get across today. So, but it's good to be it's good to be back, and it's good to be talking about all this kind of stuff again. So we'll be back same time next week. Any questions, please continue to post them in the group. We are a small group, but definitely, hopefully one that offers some good value, and yeah, good to see everyone's continuing to post. So that's good. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, we're going. No, I'm good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, absolutely. So we'll see you next week, guys. Have a good week, and yeah, keep smashing it, everyone.
Just to answer that jumping in question there.
Oh, go on then.
Question. You can sell Amazon products on Amazon, but they charge you 50% fees. So it's a non-starter unless you're getting them for like really, really cheap. Yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry. I was just reading another comment there. Yeah. Right. Okay. Great seeing everyone. Take care, guys. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.